You know that feeling when you wake up tired, even after a full night's sleep, when you push through your day running on empty, wondering where your energy went? Here's something most people don't know, that fatigue may actually be happening inside your cells. That's why I've been using anti-factor lipids powder from Nutritional Therapeutics for years. I don't go a day without it. It's based on over 20 years of research and a patented process called membrane lipid replacement, which actually repairs the damaged components of your cell membranes, restoring your cell's ability to produce energy the way they did when you were younger. Clinical studies show anti-factor can reduce fatigue by up to 40%. Just 1 or 2 scoops a day. Mix it in a smoothie like I do, sprinkle it on food, and you're giving your body the science of youthful energy. Anti-Factor Lipids Powder comes in 2 convenient sizes. For more information and to order, just call 800-982-9158, 800-982-9158, or go to antifactor.com. That's antifactor.com for Anti-Factor Lipids Powder. Welcome to today's Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ronald Hoffman. It's your weekly opportunity to send questions to us. Questions come to questions@drhoffman.net. That's .net. Please make sure questions@drhoffman.net. And with me today is Leyla Muden, because it's our weekly Q&A with Leyla. So logically enough, here she is to provide her nutritional expertise along with mine. And questions relate to anything in the realm of intelligent medicine. So we're talking supplements, we're talking exercise, we're talking diet, we're talking all aspects of a healthy lifestyle, including high-tech medicine, because intelligent medicine is a blend of the best of high-tech medicine. There's some really wonderful innovations coming down the road for us. However, we want to be savvy consumers when it comes to the offerings of conventional medicine. Some are great. Some are a little sketchy. Some represent overkill when there are better natural methods to achieve our goals. Really, that's what we prioritize here on Intelligent Medicine. Full disclosure, that's our bias towards natural solutions. So how you doing, Leyla?
Oh, okay, Dr. Hoffman. How are you?
Good. Enjoying, I guess, it's crazy weather this time of year because it's real warm, 80 degrees. And then suddenly it's literally freezing last night. Frost warning here in New York City. And, I got up this morning. It was 38 degrees outside. Yeah. So, but
we thought it was safe to put the plants out, but not yet.
Right. It's going to get warmer. People in Chicago are telling me that it's 71 degrees, and usually that's the way whence our weather comes from. So, let's, without further ado, we'll take some questions. But before we do that, an article that is an upcoming article that you'll be able to find if you are subscribing to our newsletter. But of course, even if you don't subscribe to our newsletter, which where you receive our newsletter in your inbox every week, you can go to drhoffman.com. Drop-down menu tells you where our written articles are, and you can read articles that way. Well, this article hasn't yet appeared, but I want to talk a little bit about oatmeal because I got a question from a listener about an article that appeared in the New York Times about oatmeal that breezily described all the benefits of oatmeal and how oatmeal was really a very healthy food to eat, and that it has benefits in terms of reducing cardiovascular disease risk, lowering cholesterol, and even is a good food for type 2 diabetics. So that's quite the claims. Well, it's quite the claim. So in that article, I kind of break it down because, there is, just as there's a protein war and just as there's a, war about carbohydrates and, whether you should be on an ultra low carb diet or whether it's okay to have plenty of, high complex carbohydrate foods, there is a war about oatmeal, because oatmeal is kind of an intersection of some of these themes around the issue of protein, around the issue of, carbohydrate intake. And so there's some influencers who say, protein is poison. It's bad. Why are we telling people to eat protein? And on the other hand, there
It's
are people
necessary
like
for life.
New York Times, health writers who are saying that, oatmeal is really a health food. It's really beneficial to eat oatmeal. So what I undertook was kind of a balanced discussion of that. Do you eat oatmeal? Do you ever have oatmeal?
Yeah. It's been a few years.
Okay.
Yeah. Not really. No.
So
I'm not a big cereal fan, even the hot cereals.
So the use case for oatmeal for me is this, is generally I don't have hot cereal because to me it's just a big bowl of starch. Even though it's high fiber, it delivers a lot of carbohydrates. I try to stay kind of low carb.
Yeah.
However, I don't have diabetes. My hemoglobin A1C, last time I checked, was like under 5. It's like 4.8 or 4.9. So that's not a problem. I'm at my desired weight. I don't want to keep putting on weight progressively as so often happens, but I tend to be the same weight. And my cholesterol is a little high, but I've also found that I have 0 plaque on a coronary scan. So for me, the benefits of avoiding oatmeal, I think apply more to people who are metabolically unhealthy, which happens to be a fairly high percentage of the American populace.
It's the majority of American adults.
Right.
Yeah.
So elevated hemoglobin A1C, increased waist to hip ratio. If you're a guy and you got they got a 37 or 38 inch waist, or if you're a gal and you have a 35 or a 36 inch waist.
Yep.
And if you have high triglycerides, as you mentioned, if you have hypertension, certainly if you have type 2 diabetes, you really have to watch your carbs, right? And oatmeal delivers a fair amount of carbs, right?
Yes.
So my position on this was different strokes for different folks, but where I find oatmeal useful is, it's really cold outside. And sometimes, I'll get up I usually get up at 7 in the morning, 6:30, 7. But then I look at the thermometer because I want to take a bike ride, but it's like freezing. It's like 28 degrees outside. But the forecast shows that by 10 or 11 o'clock, it'll be a more comfortable 40 or 45. And if I, put on the right amount of clothing, I'll be fine. Or I sometimes do an indoor spin class, but on weekends. But unfortunately, it's at 11 o'clock. Now, if I wake up at 7 and I don't eat anything until the spin class, I'm going to bonk, because I will have begun to use up my glycogen stores. As you do, I generally like to exercise in a fasting state.
Yes.
I can do that. I don't need to take like a Gatorade before I do my usual workout, to give me a lot of fuel. I think that's counterproductive. It doesn't really help your exercise performance. And it also, it spoils the calorie burning effect of exercise, which is one of the, reasons that people exercise, to burn off stored fat. So, but there are certain instances where I will utilize the oatmeal. And the other thing is, if I'm signed up for an event like a triathlon or something like that, I once tried an experiment. I once said, I'm going to have like a high energy food before the triathlon. And what I chose halva. You know what halva is?
Oh, yes.
Halva is a very high calorie, kind of a calorie bomb, but it's fat and sugar and some protein because it's made from sesame, right?
Yes.
So it's really caloric. So I had the halva, and man, that sat like a rock in my stomach.
Yeah.
Why?
It is heavy.
Because fat tends to slow gastric emptying.
Yes.
And when you take something light, like oatmeal, well, you get some carbohydrate calories, and it's hopefully in a slow release form. It's not like drinking a sugar beverage, Coca-Cola or something.
It's got a little fiber in there.
Add some fiber to slow the release. So I think that for some people, my position, and I wonder what your opinion is on this. I don't think there's a single right answer to the question, is oatmeal good for you? I think it depends.
It depends on what's going on with you.
Yeah.
If you have the metabolic abnormalities, it's probably not a great idea. Maybe reserve it for Sunday morning. Dr. Hoffman, for somebody who's lean, trim, and athletic like yourself, you can enjoy oatmeal.
Yeah. But, as an occasional thing. And
sure.
So what I also wrote is that if you want to find out if oatmeal is a good idea for you, get a CGM, get a continuous glucose monitor, and look at the effects of different breakfasts. Try eggs and bacon or eggs and sausage, with virtually no carbs. Or try, have a bagel with a schmear, or try a chocolate croissant, see what happens. Or try oatmeal. And you can actually see if your blood sugar really spikes, goes way high, and then, what goes up must come down. True. You get a reactive hypoglycemia. And then, the problem is, and I talk about this, there's something called a second meal effect. I think you know what that is.
Yes.
Can you explain what the second meal effect is from a nutritionist's perspective?
The second meal, if you start your first meal, if it's something very carby, the second meal effect is not going to help you regain glycemic control the way it's that first meal that sets you up for the day.
Yeah.
So the second meal is impacted by that first meal. So it's that kind of a thing. If you start your day instead of with a bowl of oatmeal, the bacon and sausage and eggs rather, and then have the second meal be something, you're not playing catch up anymore, because the first meal of the day after a whole nighttime fast where insulin and blood sugar have been normalized, we have that one opportunity with the first meal of the day to either cause it to be unbalanced with something starchy or sweet, or to keep it level and even throughout most of the day by starting with a protein and fat breakfast rather than something starchy. So
one of the things that happens is, when I travel, there's a lot of offerings for breakfast. And, especially when you have like the meal plan, like a lot of hotels have this now. It definitely is a thing in Europe. They have sumptuous breakfasts and they have a lot of choices. So often they have oatmeal. And so what I do is I'll have a little bit of oatmeal, but I'll also try to balance it with some protein and some fat, because that will kind of slow the blood sugar impact of the starch that's in the oatmeal.
Put some fat on it.
Yeah. Mix it, have it with a poached egg, or have it with, some sausage or something like that, or some, there's a lot of charcuterie in European breakfasts. The other thing to do, it also depends on the oatmeal. And a lot of people take these little packets that you just add hot water to. They're
instant.
That's a very high glycemic form of oatmeal.
Yeah, it's very refined.
It releases its sugar content very readily. I think the lowest glycemic index oatmeal is those Scotch oats that you put into a slow cooker at bedtime, and it requires some premeditation. It's got to go overnight, because you if you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to cook this, and you're
going to cook it for an hour on the stovetop.
Easily. It's like I got to get to work, and this stuff is like, you feel like a horse eating, like a horse can eat a bucket of oats raw.
Sure.
And you go crunch, 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 crunch. But they also have really big teeth.
Yes.
And big strong molars. And they have different stomachs. They're not. Yeah. Unlike cattle, I don't know. They have, maybe someone who's an equestrian expert can tell me how many stomachs a horse has. But cows seem to have like multiple stomachs to help them digest.
Yeah.
So the point being is, use an oatmeal that is less refined.
Yes.
Don't add a lot of maple syrup to it, please, or brown sugar. And don't use it as an occasion to put your, raisins and stuff like that on top.
Right.
Unless you're planning a big workout. If you're going to do a big workout, hey, knock yourself out, because you might need that energy.
Poached egg is a lovely idea. Some butter, maybe some chopped nuts or seeds, adding a little more protein, fat, and some trace minerals. That's kind of a nice breakfast.
They also talk about the cholesterol lowering effects of oatmeal. And
it's insignificant.
Thank you.
2 or 3 points? Maybe 4 or 5 points?
Well, I think in the article that the New York Times cited is that you can get a 9-point reduction in your LDL. And I would maintain that if someone tried to get a drug approved through the FDA that had as its best case scenario that it would lower your LDL by 9 points. It wouldn't go anywhere. It wouldn't get approval. Yeah. And also it wouldn't be able to compete successfully in a marketplace because we have these cholesterol busting drugs that can lower your LDL by, 40, 50, 60 points.
Yes.
So it seems, these people who are on cholesterol lowering drugs that knock their cholesterol down to 42, I mean, their LDL cholesterol, their total cholesterol may be less than 100. And then they embark on oatmeal diets. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make
any sense at all. And especially the instant stuff. Because you're looking, many people are taking beta-glucan supplements. There is some in oatmeal, but not the very
here's the
processed.
thing. The beta-glucan supplements are, there's actually different types of beta-glucans. There's beta-glucans from mushrooms and fungi, which are really strong immune modulators. Yeah. And we're actually getting a sponsor who makes a really high-quality beta-glucans. That's not so much a cholesterol-lowering product, although it might have that effect to some small degree. The beta-glucans in oatmeal kind of acts like a sponge in the intestine. It sops up a little bit of cholesterol and condenses it out of the body. So, but the beta-glucans is interesting because when I use oatmeal, I use oat bran. And oat bran has a higher concentration of the beta-glucans. So, I guess...
And it's bran. It's a lot of fiber. It's way better than, way lower glycemic than a bowl of oatmeal, certainly. Yeah. It's more the fiber portion of the oatmeal, unless the endosperm, which is the inner part of the seed, or the grain, which is where the starch resides. So you're going to get a little less in the way of carbohydrates, a little more fiber. Try oat bran. I find it nice because it cooks pretty quickly too. And, I'm not so good at premeditating how much oatmeal However, I will say, a little bit of a different thing is if you have a kid, kids tolerate these, unless your child is obese or, already has, elevated blood sugar, get your kids used to that really slow cooked oatmeal. Because it actually, I think kids will tolerate that better, I think. Yeah. It's got a nice chewy texture.
Yeah.
And, for those people, adults who do have metabolic abnormalities, but insist they need a bowl of something warm in the morning. Why can't I have my cereal? You could have a warm bowl of soup. Why can't you have a bowl of lentil soup?
Right. Thank you.
Soup? Oh, that is delicious. Why not have it for breakfast?
Yeah.
So we have to get away from the idea of breakfast food as always being cereal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's actually something that I used to do a lot of, is I used to have soup for breakfast. And, a nutritious soup, it's satisfying. It's fairly low glycemic. And, that's a way beans, I think, have a fairly low glycemic index. So lentils.
Yes, they have so much fiber.
Yeah.
And better, if you had to choose between beans, lentils, or oatmeal, would be the beans and the lentils.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as low glycemic index.
So one other thing that I discovered in my research about oatmeal is oatmeal is fairly low FODMAP. Yeah. Yeah. But it's
not a gluten grain.
It's not zero. Yeah. Okay, so there's the FODMAP, the first letter, it's an acronym. So fructans, F, O, oligosaccharides, D, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols is what a FODMAP, that's what that is. Yeah. And the fructans are fairly low in oatmeal, not completely absent.
Not completely gone,
but for someone who's on a low FODMAP diet, the gas and bloating, irritable bowel syndrome, they could experiment with oatmeal and see if they tolerate it.
There would be more fructans in the gluten grains, actually. And by the way, the FODMAP's the acronym. The F is also fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, all of that. But fructans are a thing. And fructans could fit right into that acronym, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, and the other thing about it is be careful if you have celiac disease. The vast majority of oatmeal has residues of gluten in it, right?
Yes. Yes. They're processed in the same plants as the gluten grains. Oatmeal is not inherently a gluten-containing grain, but they do get contaminated. So those with celiac have to be careful. Make sure that it's certified gluten-free. Yeah, but it's a good option as a gluten-free grain as long as it's certified.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for that discussion, because that's going to help me write the article where I wanted to weigh in. Because, I mean, the Times just breezily says, oatmeal's great, health, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of the stereotypical attitude of mainstream nutritionists. And I think you as somewhat bucking the tide nutritionist, because you don't just sign on because it's the prevailing view. You and I will analyze issues and be selective about what we endorse, right?
Right. Absolutely. I wonder if near that article somewhere in the paper was an ad for some kind of oatmeal cereal.
No, but what there was, it directed you to the Times recipe section where they had a whole series of the whole series. So it was kind of, I think they said, hey, let's do a cooking series on oatmeal and all these wonderful things you can make with oats. And then we can have somebody put the seal of approval on it so that, people will think, puts kind of a health halo around all those oats.
Yeah. So oatmeal, good or bad, it's hard to say. It depends on you is the answer. Depends on what's going on with you. But I don't learn the lesson. The reason I no longer indulge, because I've learned this lesson over and over again, that breakfast time, if I don't make it right, I'm going to be hungry all day long. If I have a bowl of oatmeal, I'm going to be hungry an hour or two later. It's a little ridiculous.
Yes.
And I know what that's about. It's like, why did I eat that?
Yeah, exactly. So the caveat, bottom line is, individual results may vary.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So good point at which to pause and allow one of our sponsors an opportunity to share an important message with you. So here goes. Listen up.
Now, more than ever, it is important to have a healthy immune system. Many health professionals agree that probiotics are a leading natural therapy for boosting immune health. Why? Because 70% of your body's immune cells reside in the GI tract. By taking a superior probiotic daily, like Dr. Ohhira's probiotics, you can enhance your overall immune system and immune response. The key to Dr. Ohhira's success is the 500-plus postbiotic metabolites that are in each capsule. Postbiotic metabolites are important to the regulation of most systems in our body. For a short-term immune boost, try Dr. Ohhira's Propolis Plus. Merging nature and science, Dr. Ohhira's Propolis Plus combines Brazilian green propolis, vitamin E, astaxanthin, and tocotrienols for additional and powerful immune support. Be proactive about your immune health. Ask your retailer today about Dr. Ohhira's probiotics and Dr. Ohhira's Propolis Plus today. Also available online.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. They are what make intelligent medicine a continuing free resource to you. And now to our questions. Once again, questions come to questions@drhoffman.net. Please send us questions because we have a relatively full mailbox this week, but we constantly need to replenish it with your questions and comments.
Okay. We've got, let's see, from John, we've got an email. My carotid artery intima-media thickness test, CMIT, showed higher than normal thickness, but there was no appreciable plaque. I'm a 73-year-old male. Is this something I need to do something about? What would be your advice?
Well, shout out to another 73-year-old male, because I am the same. And so what is that? Well, let's look at different stages of atherosclerosis. We can start with pristine arteries.
Yeah.
No vestiges. I mean, no stigmata of any kind of abnormality. That's great. The vast majority of people don't have that situation past the age of 40 or 50.
7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or even 7.
7.
And what they found, they actually did some studies of, and this actually dates back to the Korean War. They looked at autopsies of unfortunate Korean War GIs who were killed in action. and they looked at their arteries, and to their amazement, they saw the beginnings of atherosclerosis. They saw what are called fatty streaks, which are probably not opaque. They're on scans, they wouldn't appear. There's a form of soft pre-plaque, okay? So in the carotid arteries, there's the intima is the surface, the interior surface of the artery, the intima. And so it will actually thicken with age. And that's one of the reasons why you get hardening of the arteries, because actually that changes the elasticity of the arteries. And so that can be a precursor to high blood pressure. So I think it is probably the rare 73-year-old male who has no intimal artery thickening. And the good news is there's no plaque. Okay, so what then can happen is you can get the next step beyond intimal thickening is you can have the presence of plaque, calcified plaque. Okay, so that's one step. The next step is you may have obstructive plaque. In other words, you actually see narrowing, and on a carotid duplex scan, you can actually see flow problems. There's a change in the flow because it's kind of like the stream is narrowed of the blood flow because of the impediment due to the plaque accumulation. So blockage, in effect, blockage. Okay. So, yeah. And so this is the very earliest stage, and it may take another 40 years for you to get obstructive plaque, at which point you'll be, 120 or something, 110. Where that may not be so consequential to your lifespan and health span. So
there you go.
This is not an argument that you must immediately go on a statin. It might be worthwhile to do a similar check on your coronary arteries. Generally, there's concordance between what's happening in the carotid arteries and in the coronary arteries, although there can sometimes be some contrasts that, where it's different and, where one is more affected than the other.
Yeah. Well, so John, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, that downside of scanning is that you kind of begin to start to say, oh my goodness, I think I'm doing well, and I'm corroding from the inside out.
I'm rusting. What's going on?
Right,
oh my gosh. No. Okay. John, thank you for that question. All right. We've got a question here from Betty. Betty writes, when we were at CVS last week to get our COVID vaccine, my husband and I, the pharmacist suggested that we consider getting the hepatitis B vaccine also. We declined, and in doing some research online, it looks like it's not critical to get this vaccine if one doesn't have diabetes, liver problems, or lives in a facility where one might come in contact with the disease. What are your thoughts?
Well, it sounds like they're sort of trying to upsell you. And there is kind of from the public health standpoint, they don't have that many bites of the apple of people voluntarily coming in for vaccinations. So when you come in for one, they'll say, well, don't you, I want the COVID thing. Oh, well, don't you want the flu vaccine with it? Would you like the whooping cough vaccine? Well, and then, I see here that you haven't had the hepatitis B vaccine. Let's give it to you. Now, this is a controversial thing because it's been proposed that we give the hepatitis B vaccine to all children. And why that is, they say, is because unbeknownst to, the obstetrician who should know this, the mother may be carrying hepatitis B transmitted to the kid, etc. I don't think that that's a really valid argument because pretty much testing is very, very available for pregnant women. We can find out if they have hepatitis B. We can decide if the child needs to be vaccinated. Then hepatitis B is acquired in a couple of main ways. One, it's not acquired from food. Hepatitis A can be acquired by, if you, there's a worker in a deli or something, it's hepatitis A, they can transmit it with the food. That frequently health departments trace an outbreak to a worker who is preparing food. That does not happen with hepatitis B. Hepatitis B has to be transmitted with a blood transfusion, with contaminated instruments, or with sexual activity. Okay.
Yeah.
Or say if you are a worker in a mental health facility and there are, kind of wild and crazy patients in that facility who might bite you. It can be transmitted by a human bite or a scratch, a wound, so that maybe healthcare workers in that setting. I mean, it was advised to me that I get the hepatitis vaccine because I might get a needle stick when I was in the hospital. I worked with a lot of patients who had hepatitis B. I declined the vaccine. I said I'd rather take my chances. They said that's foolhardy, but at the time it wasn't a requirement. It may be a requirement now of all healthcare workers who work, with the potential to get a needle stick. But if that's not something that's in the cards for you, especially if you're older, why run the risk of further amping up your immune system, which could create the potential for an adverse reaction? I'll just give you an example. I have a friend in California, and and by the way, he's very anti-MAGA, anti-RFK, and very pro-vaccination, And so he dutifully took his, I don't know, 4th or 5th or 6th COVID shot, because they said it was time. Yeah. And they offered him a flu shot. And he had been fine with all these COVID shots. No reaction, maybe a sore arm, a couple of days, felt a little bit under the weather, but, just tolerated it very well. Took the flu shot, left the facility, and began driving home. And suddenly just felt like he was having trouble breathing, having difficulty driving. And finally, he was close to an emergency room. He drove himself directly to the emergency room, showed up to the emergency room. They said, "You're having an anaphylactic reaction." Now, he has taken the flu shot separately. He's taken the COVID shot separately, but they decided to bundle it together. Both have materials in them that are designed to boost your immune response so that the vaccine will be more likely to take. Right? But that seemed to overwhelm his immune system, and he had an adverse reaction. So, unless it's absolutely necessary, I mean, from the standpoint of pharmacists and health authorities, hey, we got the person sitting in the chair. Let's give them everything under the sun because we may not see that person ever again.
Yeah. And Dr. Hoffman, Betty's husband, Sam, has Parkinson's disease. Well, would these vaccinations do anything with regard to...
That's unclear. I can't say that, there have been neurological reactions to the COVID shot, and certainly there's been neurological reactions to the flu shot, like Guillain-Barré syndrome. Yeah. But that's a different kind of thing than Parkinson's. It is in the bailiwick of neurological, but, I can't say that vaccination has been associated with Parkinson's disease. Well, okay, you're saying, is Parkinson's a bigger problem if you get hepatitis B?
No, I'm wondering if, in Parkinson's, we want to reduce toxic burden as much as possible. And this is just more exposure to probable toxins within the vaccine itself.
I mean, one could speculate.
Preservatives,
one could speculate. One could speculate. But, I don't think that's been demonstrated. And they also said it's important if you have liver disease or diabetes to take the hepatitis B shot.
Yeah, if you have liver disease, in their own research, Betty and Sam did their own research about the hep B vaccine because they declined. When they looked online themselves, they said, if you don't have diabetes,
I guess you could make
or if you have diabetes or if you have liver problems or you live in
I guess you could make the argument that if you already have liver problems and you get hepatitis B, you're really cooked. But, I don't think it's that easy to get exposed to hepatitis B. If you're living kind of a circumspect lifestyle of an older retired person.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and diabetes, I don't get that at all. I'd be curious as to why they think if you have diabetes, you need a hepatitis B shot.
Honestly, yeah. Don't
I mean,
know.
I could see,
Yeah.
you could say, well, person has diabetes. Maybe they should get a flu shot. Maybe they should get a COVID shot, because when you have diabetes and you get sick
Weakens
with
immune-
anything,
yeah.
you could
You
go
get a-
really downhill. You could, develop,
Sure. Maybe that's the reasoning.
yeah.
Weakens immune system
Yeah.
or response. All that blood sugar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
That could be something.
The problem with people with diabetes in the early phases of COVID is they would often die because the whole system would go kablooey. Their blood sugar would go sky high,
Mhm.
and they would develop diabetic ketoacidosis, and not die
boy.
from COVID, but die from the consequences of a dysregulated blood sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Betty, thank you very, very much. Wishing you and your husband good health. Thank you for that email. Okay. All right.
And
We
what's
have-
what's the
yes.
what's the name of that pharmacy so I can avoid it? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
Sure.
yeah, I hope they don't offer the employees an incentive to see how many vaccines they can foist on
my.
unsuspecting people. Oh, well,
Mhm.
whatever. Because there is
Anyway.
that thing. It is a thing to some extent. All right.
Right.
So just before you announce the next question,
Yes.
let's give us a preview of what we're going to talk about in part 2, because we need to pause.
Yeah, yeah. What is the protocol for the 9/11 first responders to help reduce their toxic burden, to help with their immune system, to support all of that?
Wow. Okay. Interesting
Yeah.
question. All right. Questions at drhoffman.net, the destination for questions. We'll tackle that when we return. I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman, and this is the Intelligent Medicine Podcast, our weekly Q&A with Leyla.